The aim was to turn £500 seed capital into £5,000 over a period of 5 months. And thankfully, we achieved our target, raising the £5,000. We had four kind of main things that we were working on, but the two that were most successful were Christmas hampers and a music gig. So we kind of went into Dragon's Glen with the idea that we wanted to support local businesses and local people, as well as raising money for the charity. You know, it's been a tough year for local businesses. So we worked with local business on the Christmas hamper, and then we worked with local musicians on the charity gig. And collectively, they raised about 3,000 of the 5,000.
How did you engage the partners for that? You know, the contributors for the products?
Yeah, so the idea with the Christmas hampers was to support local businesses and raise money for the charity. So we didn't want to go with a really low price. We wanted it to be fairly priced so that the businesses would be supported. So we reached out to various businesses in the area and asked them if they'd be interested in doing a reduced margin, so that we could do these Christmas hampers. And we got about 5 or 6 businesses across Scotland. We had gin and tonics in there. We had soap from the Isle of Harris. You know, all sorts of businesses coming together for this Christmas hamper. We made, I think it was 150 of them in the end, and distributed them mainly within EY. So reaching out to various partners within EY and asking them if they'd like to buy them for their teams, but then also sold them to our personal connections as well. Jack did another one which worked really well with the Glasgow office, didn't you, Jack? The giveaway hamper. Raffle, sorry.
Yeah. So just around about Christmas time, you've got the classic, you know, if you're in the office, you go around the desk, you do a Christmas raffle and it raises a bit of funds. But obviously we couldn't do that this year, so we just did an online raffle. You know, got a bit of donations from the partners, got a list of prizes, and went round. I think that ended up raising about 500-600 quid as well.
I think there was something in that. Any limitations you found, or you know, would you say that, you know, in the discovery, you know, is there a business model there even?
I think I'll go first here. So I was mainly involved. I was a courier for a lot of the hampers, especially around the Glasgow area. And I think initially, I guess it's very much COVID related, but due to restrictions, we initially looked at posting the majority of them. And I think we worked, was it not about £8 a hamper, Matt, you know, just for one. So that was pretty much all profit gone instantly. So then the way the restrictions worked and got approval, I was able to just deliver some of them. So that wasn't too bad within my local area, within the restrictions. But I think the biggest thing was the delivery charges. And then I think as well, if we were to go long term doing it, I know Matthew negotiated sort of good margins on a lot of the products. If we were going into like a long term relationship, I don't think we would get them as cheap. Do you think that'd be fair, Matt?
Yeah, I think a lot of the businesses did kind of see it as a donation. Although they were making a small profit, you know, they were kind of like, oh, it's a one-off thing. Let's help the guys out. So if you were to do it long term, your prices may increase, and the delivery is a real killer.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult to compete with, like, you know, if you were selling good quality hampers, you're competing with the likes of like M&S and Waitrose, who, being established, just like lower overheads, lower costs, like delivery doesn't even come into it. So we could offer a hamper at 25 quid, but M&S could do same quality, maybe potentially even better for say 15. So I think that makes it difficult.
No, it's interesting. I mean, you kind of wonder whether people would pay more to buy local. That whole kind of local there's definitely something in that. But as you say, it all comes down to the economics of it. I suppose though, folk aren't buying necessarily on the price point. They're buying on the, you know, the kind of the the draw of the fact that, I mean, in this case, it's to support the charity, obviously, but, you know, if you were to try and spin it out, it would be doubling down on that kind of local, you know, your kind of independent angle, I guess, as opposed to a Marks or a Waitrose or a Fortnum and Mason who sell their own stuff.
Yeah, definitely. People are willing to support local businesses a lot more, especially given the last year. I think there's a lot more push on shop local.
It was a real kind of remarkable year, as everyone knows, and you hit the target. You raised £5,123, and you are in fact the winners this year. So congratulations for that. So I hope that's some nice news to get from us today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
particularly good, as you say, given the situation.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned to you, Matthew, in a previous email that overall all the teams in 9 years now have raised over £500,000 £800,000. So £500,000 from Dragon's Glen is not bad. We're absolutely delighted.
Good.
And special mention to our dragon, Austin Flynn, because he was a real help in getting us over the line.
Great. Is there anything that you guys would like to kind of ask Mike at this point?
A bit late in asking me to buy a hamper.
Yeah, you missed that opportunity, but.
No, but obviously, Mike, you started your own business at a very young age, and I'm in the process of starting my own business. So I'd like to get some kind of thoughts from you from when you started your business. How did you kind of build credibility? You know, you were selling tires to people that were probably 20 to 30 years experience in the industry, and you were a 16 or 17-year-old lad. How did you kind of build the credibility there?
Probably play to the kind of the lack of credibility. Actually, can't about just being very honest and very very personable. Best businesses, best startups, the founders really that honesty and that enthusiasm really resonates through the business and to customers. So using your own identity and playing the underdog and playing that kind of David the Goliath, because for us we had Quick Fit, this huge business, and it was me and an office in Peebles and on my own, and it was the only way to really to really have any chance against those guys was to kind of pitch the whole David and Goliath thing from a PR point of view, and it worked. It works. People like that. They like to support the underdog. So that was definitely a strategy that I adopted.
Yeah. And do you think there's kind of things that you learned through doing rather than formal education that would have been harder to learn through formal education?
I think your gut feel, in anything you do is probably the most intuitive kind of guide you'll ever get in business or in any walk, anything you do in life, and that just comes from experience. It comes from doing. It comes from the rights and the wrongs, the failures and the successes. So I find that the more you do, when they say this kind of, is it the 10,000 hour principle or something?
To become an expert or something, yeah,
to become an expert. So I think the more you do, the better you get, or at least the more intuitive things start to become. So and part of that is, I think, in reading and learning and listening, surrounding yourself with, I used to trying to kind of take other people's experience and own that. I think that adds. So for me it was whether it be Quick Fit, it's Terry Lee at Tesco, various people I've been lucky enough to work with who've had a ton of experience that I wouldn't, it would take, that you're 30 years worth of, how do I get the benefit of that in 30 days? How do I, and so plugging into these people and listening and learning and then, making, forming strategies off the back of that, as well as off the back of what, yourself, I think is really important in kind of, in trying to expedite, the progress and the learning. I think, being open to what other, what experts can teach you, is really important.
I'll just get one question, Mike, as well. So you're obviously heavily involved in sort of various charities, but I think the one that's most interesting is the Welch Trust that you founded yourself. Mm-hmm. So, what's sort of your ambitions for that charity? I guess it's still sort of in the start phases of 5 to 6 years, but what's your ambitions? Where do you kind of want to see it go, and just sort of a bit of chat about that?
Yeah, the idea was to be able to have a platform that we could gift causes that frankly made us feel good, so it was very, very much a kind of a bit of an indulgence, to be honest, in terms of, there are causes that were close to my heart and my wife's kind of heart. She's a pediatric nurse, and, I've been involved in various charities, adoption, fostering particularly, and we wanted to be able to get involved and make a difference, but not in a, kind of a let's give back cheesy headline. I mean, that for us, it was, what can we do now to make, a difference and on a relative level, high impact, but on a relative scale. You know, how could we use the resources that were available to us to have a you know, to make an impact, as opposed to sticking a quid in a bucket. You know, it's that sort of stuff that we've kind of, as we've gone, we've done certain things, and you know, Prince's Trust is important to us because we work closely with those guys. Children First we've supported, so it's kind of been a bit of a, you know, we test and learn, and like anything, to the point earlier, it's how do we, you know, we get better and more strategic by doing and learning and going, actually, you know, that thing we did last time didn't really give us the impact we wanted. Maybe we'll change it. And I think what you start to get is a iterative process to get you, you know, where it feels right.
I hear you returning to Children First as a dragon as well, are you?
Yeah, gonna do some work with the guys. Yeah, I think I did the first ever one, didn't I?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we raised about £2.50. So it's come a long way since then.
Well, you've got competition with Austin Flynn. He's hard to beat.
All right. Okay. Very good. Well, like a challenge.
Yes. So yeah.
I'll have about 600 hampers in my living room just to beat him.
Yeah. There's always a lot of friendly competition between the dragons as well, so that's good. Well, thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed that and having a chat and just getting to meet Mike and Mike likewise.
Yeah, great.
Thanks
great
for
to meet
chatting.
You guys.
Thanks for chatting with our winning team this year.
Thanks for taking the time out, Mike.
Thanks very much, Mike.